How are you? I am fabulous, fabulous. All right, all right. I'm like, I didn't do a banner. I didn't do anything. I'm tripping. Tripping. But we here. Amen. Amen. We are here. How was your week? Busy. All right. Busy is always good. Busy is always good. Productive, busy, or busy, busy? We'll talk. All right, all right. Let's see. All right, it is to the top of the hour. It is 9 a.m. Let's get this party started. Welcome, welcome to our Saturday morning tea, where we discuss health information, news, education, certification tips, entrepreneurship, the revenue cycle at large, just all of the things in healthcare revenue cycle, plus some other little tidbits as we see fit. Because I think we totally shifted today. Well, no, it's still all relative. Anyway, as you come in, don't forget to hit the thumbs up or like button to help us with engagement. And remember to be an inviter. Invite someone to share this wonderful tea that we will be spilling this morning. I am Clarice Warner, the girl with the pearls, the founder and senior education director of the Professional Reimbursement Network, LLC, where coding education is key. PRN is a healthcare compliance consultancy located in Cincinnati, Ohio, that specializes in revenue cycle and regulatory compliance and education. Now, let me ask you, do you know what it takes to be a certified marketable keyword medical coder? If you don't, before I introduce my co-host, let me share with you information on a free, oh, I forgot to put the thing over on the side. See, let me share with you information on a free email course to the 5 steps to become a certified marketable medical coder. Are you interested in medical coding, but not sure where to start and scared of wasting time and resources? Let me help you with the right steps to become a certified marketable medical coder. Learn more at bit.ly/5stepscoder. All right. Oh, sorry. It catches me every single time, right? Right. Okay. I think I pinned the thing over there. All righty. And if you are interested in getting more information about the 5 steps to become a certified marketable medical coder and you are joining us in Clubhouse, feel free to click the link. I believe I just miraculously added it during that time frame. If you are joining us via YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn, feel free to check out the description box for the link. I promise you, I know it's a lot of information in there, but it is there. So just scroll down. So joining me today is my co-host, Mr. Jesse, the registered trademark. Put some respect on his name, the coding nurse. Sir, introduce yourself and tell the folks all about you.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Jesse. I live in Philadelphia. I have been a nurse for 3 decades, and in 2014, I transitioned into HIM, and in 2020, I created a company called The Coding Nurse LLC, where I help nurses and other people with clinical backgrounds transition into the wonderful world of HIM.
And how is that working out for you?
Pretty good.
Yay, yay. That's what's up. That is what's up. Okay. Well, before we jump in, let me remind you that if you are on Clubhouse and you want to join in and add to the conversation, please raise your hand. We welcome conversation. This is a dialogue here. We believe in getting to hear the opinions of others. So don't be shy. Your opinion matters here and is welcomed here. So just raise your hand. If you are on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube, You all know what to do. Y'all do it every week. Just use the chat function and place your comments there. If you have a question, the only thing I ask is you put a little Q in front of it so that we know it is a question and we don't miss it. Let's see.
She's on YouTube and says my sound is up.
Yeah, because you're saying you hear feedback in the. Okay. You hear feedback?
When I was talking,
because you're louder,
do,
but you go ahead.
Yeah, I do when I'm talking. I hear, but it's only on Clubhouse.
Yeah, it's only on Clubhouse. So if I turn you down on Clubhouse, or when I turn you down in the mixer, then you're turned down on StreamYard because you're muted there. So they don't hear you directly in StreamYard because you mute. I have them both on both ends. So yeah, so maybe I just mute me over there when you talk, so it doesn't.
But that becomes confusing.
It does, and it drives me crazy. But we gotta do what we gotta do. Okay. Can she hear you now? Gina,
is it better now?
Okay.
All right, go ahead.
So, okay, Gina, we're looking and waiting. But while we wait for you to give us some information, let's get into our church announcements. Our church announcements. Today's church announcement is a good one. I promise you. You will enjoy it. Okay. And then I also invite any other folks in the room. If you have church announcements, feel free to let us know. And let me stop this down. All right. So today's church announcement, briefly, I just want to let you all know that to put this on your calendar for the virtual, yes, I said virtual, CPT and RBRVS 2024 annual symposium brought to you by the American Medical Association. It is a great time had by all. It's November 15th through the 17th. And it says the CPT code set is expanding, so start preparing for it now. And we've talked about what they do with ICD-10 and CM and PCS and how they have their meeting where they discuss new diagnosis codes, new procedure codes. They give the rationale for them, et cetera, et cetera. Well, this is very much the same type of conversation in 3 days, but it's around the CPT code changes and additions and possible deletions. So make sure if you're interested, put the information on your calendar. You can actually go to the AMA and get an early link or be the first to know when the doors are open. Unfortunately, this is not a free event. The ICD-10, CM, and PCS maintenance, I can't think of the top of my head. I think it's the maintenance meeting that they have is a free event. This one, unfortunately, is not. You know, the AMA got to pay for all of the things that they're doing against everybody. So this one is not, but it is a very good event. I remember going to it when it was in person in Chicago, and the only thing is it's in November, and so Chicago is very cold that time of the year, and it was that wind was just disrespectful all the way around. However, the virtual events have been great, so you get the same feeling, the same atmosphere. It's still some fun. There's a lot of chat, and actually you get I think a lot of engagement as well with the I think more engagement with the presenters and being able to ask questions and that kind of thing. So it's a great time to have out. So if it's something that interests you and you can either talk your employer into sponsoring or you find you a sponsor, or you put your coins together and go to it, this will be something great to do. So that was my church event. I didn't know if anybody else had any church events they wanted to share for the good of the room. All right. Well, let's get into it today. So, for those who are just joining us, today we are discussing foreign medical graduates and compliance officers, and they both weigh in on two separate topics. One is CDI, and one is the whole fake nurse debacle with the fake licensures and diplomas and all of those things. So I think I'll start with that because I do believe that the other one I got I specifically intentionally got 3 tea bags today because I knew this was going to be some serious tea happening in the room. So the fake nurse thing, we've talked about this several times. You know, the Operation Nightingale that was done by the Department of Justice was about an exposure of the sale of 7,600 fake nursing diplomas and transcripts. Some of those were able to pass their licensing exams and were licensed as either registered nurses or licensed practical nurses or LPNs. And I know I've asked over and over and over again, what happened? What was some of the breakdowns? What are some of the gaps? What was missing? And so this article is a little dated because it actually happened before because we talked recently about folks pleading guilty and that thing. So this was before they did this. This was just at the indictment phase where they wrote this article. But what was interesting in here for me is the thought or the conversation about, well, what do these facilities need to do kind of to protect themselves? And understanding that with your medical staff, your advanced practice nurses, there is a lot that happens for credentialing for those providers. You don't get that same level, or if any, or a very minimal level of kind of checking, if you will, for, well, a lot of facilities don't even hire LPNs. That's a whole other conversation, but especially in acute settings, but for LPNs and for RNs. But so they were talking or kind of thinking through strategically what can happen. Well, there is some service that was used, which kind of also hurt them. It was some service, I can't see the name of it in the article, that that allows nurses to work in different states.
That's the NCSBN.
Is that what that's called?
Yeah, National Council of State Board of Nursing.
Okay. And so they were saying that kind of exacerbated some of the issues because it was supposed to be something for good, I guess. I'm trying to find it where they mentioned in the article about it.
Just scroll past.
I don't know, but anyway, they were talking through that, and then they were explaining some other things. So figuring out that and how to add specific checks and balances for that piece, but then also when the person is hired, using other safeguards similar to what the Joint Commission does for role-specific orientation, and having kind of a safety check on some critical functions that nurses provide, phlebotomy, nebulizer treatments, infusions, injections, and making sure um, these skills are part of what that nurse brings to the table when they're hired, and reevaluating them even on an annual basis, and documenting the nurse's training file. So I guess that would be one way to kind of check and see if somebody paid for a a diploma and got their nursing that they actually can physically do the work that they have subscribed that they can do. And putting this checklist together may be one way. They call it the Joint Commissions Tracer. Maybe one way that they can do that. Another thing that they were talking about is again doing the verifying the license. So with credentialing with on the physician side or provider side, they pull everything. So they have to confirm all of the education, the training, double check the license, check and see if there are any sanctions against it, any licenses. They do the whole rigmarole, and it's a whole process. Trust and believe. I know.
But
Go ahead.
all that's done with nurses too.
From the beginning.
I mean, because what made this so egregious is that these licenses are not fraudulent. They were issued by the state. They're not using some concocted document. What was fraudulent
Was the education.
School reported that these people completed a program that they did not participate in.
So, right. So if they did not, so the license is good. There's nothing to say they passed their exam. So they had enough knowledge to pass the exam, but they didn't do the coursework and they didn't do the clinicals.
Right.
So I have questions. So if you don't do the clinicals, can you still do the work? Or, I mean, maybe, well, God forbid I say this out loud, but maybe they went through YouTube University and watched somebody do the work or something. I don't know.
I definitely get where you're going. And when you were talking about the part where they were talking about this skills checklist with the Joint Commission, they think it's a shortage now. It's people who went to school that probably won't be.
Well, and that's why I like where they said and reevaluate on an annual basis, because I think that's something that probably should happen in all medical professions, not just even the clinical side. But that's another conversation for another day. Oh wow. Well, yeah, because so you all have, you don't technically have CEUs, right? You have CEUs as well. Okay.
I'm licensed in Pennsylvania and in New Jersey. In New Jersey, I have to have 30 CEUs every 2 years.
Okay. And so is there something that dictates what your CEU is supposed to be? I mean, are they?
It just has to be from an accredited provider.
Okay.
Through the state.
Okay. Well, I guess like everybody CEUs, you could just go to something and it doesn't necessarily provide updates or specific skills or yeah. That's like everybody. Well, maybe that's another area to kind of look at and see, can you put together something like that? Like we talked about with the coding CEUs and the coding certification years ago, they used to have the assessment that you had to pass in order to get your CEU. I mean, in order to recertify, and maybe something like that. I don't know how that would work with nursing. Maybe I'm thinking a clinical something, but maybe even a written something. But to your point, if we got a nursing shortage now, Lord help us all. We may have even a bigger nursing shortage. But this was just interesting to me. Some of the things that they kind of thought through, and I guess still thinking through. Um, but to your point, if the license was technically the license is good. There's nothing to say that the license wasn't good. The license was legit. It was the education to get the license that's not legit. So how do you prove? Because what if they already knew nursing, and what if they're one of these foreign medical no, let me stop. But anyway, what if look, I'm tied it all together. What if they already know this stuff and can do it in their sleep? They just didn't want to take the time to go through a school. I don't know. I'm thinking out loud now.
I just want to, we've been talking about this since the story first broke, and I just really think that deep down, nothing's going to happen to those particular people. I think that maybe some kind of way they'll come up with something, some kind of checks and balances, but while they're trying to get rid of them, they're going to end up impacting a few other people as well. Because there's always been, in any profession, you always want to have people who just can't cut the mustard.
True.
So, if they come up with something that's too taxing, number one, you're going to get a lot of pushback. And if you make it skills based, you have somebody like me. I haven't worked bedside in almost, well, it's been actually over 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's a requirement to do a skills assessment, I probably wouldn't pass either right now.
Okay. Well, I don't know. Well, they were just thinking um some of these through some of these things to make sure um oh, that was the other thing. To make sure they figure out how to avoid this in the future if possible. Especially to this extent. And they even acknowledge that this is actually, and we've said this too, this has been going on for years, but not to this number of folks. You would have a few folks here and there trickling in, but now you got all kinds of folks and coming out of 3 different organizations.
Well, the only thing that I would like to suggest, if I could talk to any of them, through all of this, nobody has ever said, why don't they shorten the reaccreditation time frame so these schools get reevaluated more often? How come that's not an option?
How often are they reaccredited?
I think it's every 10 years.
Whoa.
Something crazy. It's something 5 or 10 years. I really think so.
That's too long.
Exactly.
That is way too long. Because if you scamming, you could have. Do you know the amount of money you could have made in 10 years? Oh my God.
They want to put the burden on other people. And
Yeah.
the crafty coder has a comment. Like, the issue, crafty coder, is not that they can't pass the test. They did pass the test.
Yeah, they were. Yeah. So there was some other things they were asking, some of the questions um about safety in the work environment and robust credentialing process. How did the person get hired? What kinds of documents did the healthcare organization require? Were the people with fraudulent licenses identified with their clinical skills when their clinical skills were evaluated during new hire orientation? Um, where are the breakdowns in the system? And some of the same questions should be asked about qualifying to sit for the state licensing exam. Um, this is crazy.
It is.
It's
Because
crazy. Because to your point, I mean, this is crazy.
because a lot of people don't understand, like, it is very hard to get an authorization to test from the state to take a nursing exam. I mean, it only comes from the board of nursing. So that's the whole crux to this debacle, is because it was a legitimate school. It was an accredited program. These schools, when you submit documentation, if your school is accredited and all the paperwork is in order,
Nobody's going to question that. They're going to look to you, the individual, and see what your stuff is. You're right. You're absolutely right. So it's like, so how do you, and again, that's the whole process. How do you strategically try to think through avoiding something like this in the future? I mean, because it's on more than just that individual. I mean, that individual is liable too, because if you paid the money, you knew you were doing wrong too. But at the end of the day, again, it's all about the safety of these patients. And how do we they come to the facilities, they come into all of our facilities for assistance and for help, and hospitals are supposed to be a safe space.
And also another thing that the average person doesn't know is some of this, and I'm not excusing any of their behavior, but some of this, I bet you, was born out of the frustration of trying to get into nursing school legitimately. It is a beast to get into medical and into nursing school nowadays.
I know one of the things that we see, it's not necessarily the getting in. You can get in, but then you're on a wait, you're on a hold for like the clinical pieces. So it's a whole big revolving cycle, because I also understand that part of that wait is you don't have enough instructors, you don't have enough people who are teaching, and you don't have enough sites that are allowing the students to come in to get the clinical experience that they need. So it's a whole big mess that just needs to be figured out.
I just heard a couple weeks ago that somebody recently graduated from nursing school. They did all of their clinical rotations in a nursing home. How can you do OB and P in a nursing home?
Well, maybe they felt like they wouldn't go practice or work in those facilities anyway, or deal with that population. I don't know. But they let them get that off?
Yes.
Wow. Wow. That's crazy.
That's what behind the scenes nursing is a hot mess.
I don't know. Just there will be more to come as this unfolds. I feel like a news anchor for real. There will be more to come as this unfolds. So stay tuned. Stay tuned. Stay tuned. All right, all right. So, Mr. Jesse, I'm gonna let you take this next thing here, because yeah, this was a lot.
Wasn't it?
It was a lot. It was a whole lot.
And I'm like, was this really about, for a medical graduate, was it about his story? I mean, because the thing is, like, what was surprising?
I cannot with her. Wait a minute. I might as well take my chances in the third world hospital at this rate. I cannot with her, ma'am.
But you know what, though? Let me tell you, Crafty Coda, listen, I had recently, one of my good friends went to Columbia to have 2 medical procedures. She called me. Apparently, she had a reaction to the IV contrast. They never. They offered her water and elevated her feet, but seriously, this was just this year. She called me, and I'm like, what is going on? So she described what was happening, and then when she had said something, I'm like, oh, I said, you had a reaction to the dye. I said, well, did they give you any Benadryl? She was like, no, they gave me water and held my hand and elevated my feet. I'm like,
wow. They was trying to shake it out. upside down, shake it out from her or something.
That's not how that works.
Maybe, yeah. Okay.
And
Anyway.
I mean, and the crazy part about it is, I had a case about maybe 6 weeks ago, so where the same thing happened here in New Jersey. The person had a reaction to IV contrast and had a heart attack.
Oh God. And so you would think that would be part of the monitoring post-op. I don't.
Well, this was during the procedure,
Or do, God.
but I don't think there's a test that you can, because a lot of people, there's always outliers. Some people are just sensitive, but you can't really notice them until it happens, till it's in your veins.
And I understand that part, but there's protocols to do something when you do know.
Oh, yeah.
That's my point. Like,
Well,
is
here's
it
they did.
giving you some water and putting your feet up, sir?
But see, that's a whole nother country. Mhm.
Is that what works for the folks over there? I mean, I'm just. Oh, again, that bears saying that you got to do your research on things. You just because something costs a little less don't mean it's y'all know. Well, I don't want to call nobody stores, but y'all know what y'all be getting when y'all go to some certain stores versus other stores. Your material might be a little thinner. The stitching might not be as secure. Y'all know what it is, but it all but it looks the same, and it's brand new, and it's sparkly and shiny, and all of the things, but it may fall apart 5 minutes after you put it on.
And that's the same thing she said. She said the office was beautiful, and it was right next to a medical center.
Oh Lord.
But so
Did she come back? Did she survive? I mean, is she?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
she's back.
Okay.
She's fine.
Okay.
So I mean, I don't understand how they just let anybody come into CDI except for the people who need to be in CDI.
When I was reading, I promise you, I was over here. I was hollering. Oh.
I'm like, so if you
Did they mention, was coding even mentioned? No coders was mentioned in this article at all. That was the other part. There was nothing about coding connecting to CDI at all. It was strictly about clinical. And we've had this conversation how many times now?
Well, first of all, can we be very clear?
Yes.
If your foreign education is not sufficient for you to become a doctor in this country, how in the whole heaven and heck can you move then into CDI as a plan B when you know even less about coding than apparently you do medical? And did you read the article where he got a whole Facebook group?
Yes. Like like they talking and they trying to, his whole goal in life is to help more. Get some background. Foreign medical graduates are the topic. And so these are folks who have I guess practiced or gone through the medical schools in their respective countries and have immigrated over to the US. And oftentimes the author mentioned that they have faced some kind of obstacles in practicing medicine. Either they can't get into residency schools. There's only so many slots for foreign medical graduates across the country. It's very competitive, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So this particular author was still trying to figure out and how he can continue to work in healthcare. He worked as a research associate. He was a surgical assistant. I even saw he was over here in my state, and I was trying to go where in Ohio were you? But that was neither here nor there. um, and he was trying to, still trying to figure out, and somebody tapped him on his shoulder and told him about CDI. And they were like, well, why don't you try it? And he Googled it. And then he was like, oh my God, this is great. I really want to get in. I want to do this, that, and the third. And he mentions an organization that is geared to help the foreign medical graduates get into CDI. What was the Prime Healthcare, which owns 45 hospitals. It's at 45 hospitals across the country, and it's led by a FMG, a foreign medical graduate, and is a pioneer in hiring foreign medical graduates as CDI specialists, which is typically RN dominated. Okay, so I stopped right there because I was like, everybody is recognizing the RN and the clinical piece, but again, as we kept going, that's all he talked about was the clinical piece and his clinical knowledge and his clinical this, and nowhere in here does it talk about the coding piece. Even with his scenario about the example that he gave with the at the question, the interview question that they said he nailed on the head, and so you're in. Never did they mention anything as far as the coding part. I'm all I got was health information professionals. We get it all on every end, front, going forward, backwards, and now even on the side. They just come in for everything we've worked hard for. And again, it's all I heard was advocating for the profession. Where is the advocation or advocacy? Because I don't even know if advocation is a real word. Where's the advocacy for the profession against this foolishness? Period.
But then we wonder why healthcare costs are so exorbitant. Then we wonder why all this reimbursement has to take place.
She's oh, wait a minute. So our side correspondent, the crafty coder. How does that work? No coding or coder talk. Big gulp of tea. Girl, I told you I got 3 whole tea bags in this one cup. Y'all got me cussing on this great weather Saturday. Isn't it a beautiful day? It is a gorgeous day. America do the most at times. And then he wants to bring more folks into so they can bypass coding. Yes. Good morning, Vicki. Welcome. I'm like, yeah, this is crazy. This is crazy. I just.
And the part that gets me is they think they're doing something. Like they really think this is a good thing.
Didn't he mention Actis in here in this article too?
Yeah.
And they supporting this?
Well, like I told, Actis is not about coding either.
I know that they're about their nursing, but so there's going to be that clinical battle here with your foreign medical graduates against your nurses as well, potentially.
Well,
depending on the organization, because you've got an organization who is gonna. Can I see some charts from over there? Where is the compliance professionals over there? Can somebody?
Listen.
I need to do some digging there yeah. Okay, go ahead.
We don't have to worry about it. Because let me tell you what's gonna happen. Sully and all of his friends, they going to Tennessee. Because now that foreign medical graduates can practice, let's see how long they stay in CDI.
You're right about that. According to so we talked about this last week if you missed it, where they are allowing foreign medical graduates to just with open arms into our facilities, um, without the residency, without having any U.S. residency requirements in in Tennessee, which may be the first to do it, but probably won't be the
No, it's a
last.
few other states. I just didn't get a chance to do the research, but it's not just Tennessee.
Mm.
So that's where Sully and them going to be. Trust me. Because if you can practice as a doctor, you think they won't?
And so this is just, to me, it's just so disheartening. Well, I look at it two ways. It's disheartening, but then for those of us who are seasoned and has been here, then you understand the fight and that you what is needed. And again, you have to advocate for yourself, if not necessarily for all. But like I said, I remember this when years ago. See, I'm about to date myself. When the discussion about like utilization review and utilization management and quality assurance and all of those types of positions were kind of just forming and new to organizations, or those titles were new to organizations. And we were I was still in school, and they were providing that information to us as viable options. Hey, you're learning this clinical information. You're able to navigate and know the charts and know what's in them and understand the documentation, because really we all know it's all about the documentation, and kind of doing the comparative analysis against the specific protocols, and checking off and validating and making sure and all of the things. So you're learning this skill. These types of positions are also positions that you potentially could apply for. Well, in the fine 0.2 font, someone should have mentioned, but you got nurses who feel like that this is work that only they can do and will fight you tooth and nail to even get into it. And so, we walk away with, oh, wow, this is great. We have other options. We have whatever. But those options, you got to fight and fight and fight and fight and fight to even put your foot in the door, and to hold on and continue to fight to hold on and prove your worth. We're here again with CDI. Same type of situation, where yes, we are also trained clinically, but we have another huge bigger advantage because we are also coders, and so we understand the methodology, the coding methodology, the guidelines, all of those things coupled with the clinical piece. So we really basically have, for me, a leg up. I do agree that there are multiple people that should be sitting at the table, and coding should be one of them. Actually, coding should be heavier at the table than any of the others. We all can be there, but a good coder with that kind of knowledge and clinical base should be the gem for any CDI program, both inpatient and outpatient. And it's disheartening to me that is not realized, that is not advocated for, that is not spoken about. And it's like, it's just disheartening. And so and disappointing, because how do you try to continue to get people interested in this field, interested in wanting to become health information professionals in this work? Because there are other avenues and other paths that they can go through, but what if this truly was their interest? Now they gotta there's a huge obstacle before they even get started. And so how do you how do you tell them, but we're working to knock down these barriers, but we're working to advocate for you to come in, but we're carving a path for you in this realm, when you don't hear it, and you hear on the other side with other organizations, we're the people for the job, we're the CDI specialists, we're the this, that, and the third. That's so sad to me.
Well, this squarely sits in the lap of a HEMA because, I've said it for eons. They don't do enough advocacy for the profession, and they're one of the four cooperating parties. They're one of the biggest players in healthcare, and for them to sit silent while this goes on is just it's criminal to me. And you take people's money, but you basically are sitting by while they're forced out of not only an area of opportunity in terms of employment, but a lucrative area of employment at that. You know
Yes.
how much money CDI makes over compared to the average coder?
Yep. Yep. That's easily a six-figure job.
And at the end of the day, I don't care how well you can do a dressing. That has nothing to do with you getting that case coded correctly so that hospital can keep that money. Nothing.
And a closed mouth don't get fed. We all know that.
Exactly. So I don't blame the foreign medical graduates. I don't blame actors. I blame AHEMA.
That's sad. That's really sad. So, Ahima, what are you gonna do? What are we gonna do? how do we how do we how do we advocate for the members of our association? How do we advocate for our positions, or and positioning at the table on these professions? You clearly have the pathways, you have all of that lined up, you have beautiful infographics, you have wonderful webinars, you have all of the things, but not sitting with and talking to those who are in positions to make the change necessary for the members. Yeah,
Because I don't have a problem with foreign medical graduates. I don't. I have a problem with anybody, even RNs, who think that you can just walk into CDI because you have a clinical background.
Right, because they have made it look like all that is needed in this position is a clinical component, and that's not the case.
But the thing is, it's so much deeper and more insidious than that. Because when you go on LinkedIn, you can see right now there is an ad for somebody who is telling nurses you can go into CDI by just completing this 4 weekend boot camp. They think it's that easy.
Mm. Are they teaching coding in that 4 weekend boot camp? I had to ask. I had to.
But how can you learn coding? First of all, you'd be hard pressed to learn just ICD-10 CM in 4 weekends, let alone ICD-10 PCS, let alone querying, let alone the fundamentals of CDI, what it means, how to think about it. But that's what they do. Or they go to actors and they complete a little weekend, or they put a little 16 hour something and get a CDI apprentice status and go and get a job. See, that's my issue.
I don't understand. And I have so many questions. and are they having these conversations though? That's the other part. Like, are they talking about this? Isn't Hema talking about this?
I don't know. I can't look, as they say in the street, I can't tell.
I mean, you just released your second edition of this manual. For what? Even if I get the manual, even if I pass the test, then what? AHIMA should make these introductions. AHIMA should make these introductions to these organizations about what this person brings to the table. Not this person individually, what this person collectively who has this skill set, who has this credential, what this means to your organization and how they can help benefit you with all of this that this person should have based on this credential. I'm confused.
But AHIMA is also culpable because they recently changed their requirements for the CDIP, but years ago, you just had to be an RN and you'd be eligible for it. So they kind of set the tone. And then actors kind of sprung up. Because actors hasn't been around as long as AHIMA.
Well, then there you have it. They gave it up. So maybe it was something that they want to get out of. But then why still have the credential? If you're not for real and serious about it.
Right, but the thing is, but you can get out of it when you are at the table and you are dictating coding policy and HI, the whole HIM structure. Like you're supposed to advocate. And if you put out coding credentials, if you put out CDI credentials, you should be the first one to say, well, you, in addition to clinical knowledge, you need to have coding knowledge. You can't get around it. And to be effective, I know, I do it every day. You have to have a coding background in order to do your job effectively.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it all gets worked out in the end because there's checks and balances to kind of get it fixed, but it shouldn't need to be fixed.
But if you are going into an organization that in their job description or in the ad for the position clearly states you need to be an RN, that's not fixed. That's shutting you down at the beginning. You don't have a fighting chance for that position.
No. When I say get fixed, I mean when you start doing your job, there's people to clean it up because of your deficit until you get up to speed. The whole thing. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
The whole thing comes down to the word I've been saying since last year's gatekeeping. This is how they keep control. Because if you just look at the percentages of people who are RNs, it tells the whole story. It's a pathway.
That's sad. I had sunshine on a cloudy day, and I just got sad all over again. I mean, because I just feel some kind of way. I feel some kind of way. I am in my feelings. How in the world do you continue to? Well, money talks.
Yeah.
Money talks. Money talks. But then why would I give them? But then you stuck. So I'm a member. I'm a HEMA CDI certified. I've been a member of a HEMA. I'm paying my membership dues to a HEMA. I don't feel like I'm getting what I need from a HEMA as far as support and advocacy for the part of the profession that I belong to. I'm weighing, do I continue to support them financially with my dollars, or should I turn over here to another organization that don't even feel like I should even be sitting at the table, who doesn't necessarily recognize me, doesn't feel like I have enough to even offer, but I am part of what they propose. You stuck, and that's where it's so like, what do you do? How do you navigate that? Is there another organization that's a mix in between? I don't know. It's just this a mess.
It is. I mean, and that's why I never even considered joining actors because actors, they don't see me. You know, I'm an LPN. I don't exist. I might as well be in the corner wiping down some walls or something.
Well, at least they can kind of squint and look at you on the other side. You do have a nursing credential. We don't have none of no nursing credential, period, at all.
They look, the way healthcare is set up, the way RNs look down on LPNs, they don't see me either. That's why they don't get none of my money.
It's sad. It's really sad. I guess it's some additional conversations that must be had. Some additional consideration that must be given. Like I hope folks, especially those of you all that are working in this field, and maybe there's some folks that feel they don't have this problem. They don't see this. You know, we would love to hear from you too. Like, because clearly it's from what I'm reading, it's a challenge just getting through the door and having to prove yourself when it should never be that way, because the coding piece outweighs the clinical piece for the CDI folks. You are doing all of this researching and reviewing all of this documentation for the coding and reimbursement purposes for the organization. It is not to treat the patient. The patient is gone. The patient has already been treated. This has nothing to do with that. So I don't understand the why is it lopsided? Why is it upside down?
Because they got in and they co-opted it.
And they just gave it to him. Y'all just gave it to him.
Mm-hmm. Because just like you learn coding guidelines, you can learn clinical indicators. Point blank.
And so then you in my mind, then that makes you even more valuable because you have both. When in the and don't get me wrong, I'm sure there are several nurses, you included, who have both. You have the clinical side, you have the coding side. I'm sure there are RNs out there that have both who are thriving in this field, but it should not just be, oh, you need this RN. Otherwise, because it's all about the clinical piece, and it's not. It's not. It's not. And it shouldn't be built that way. It shouldn't be advertised that way. It shouldn't be promoted that way.
It is.
I know. Every day. Every day. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry for y'all that's out there. I am. That's just a mess. This is not right. Not right at all. Not right at all.
But you know, that's why I told you. Like that's why I'm learning SQL because as much as I have, like you just said, I have a clinical background and a coding background, but yet and still I am not eligible for 85% of the CDI jobs because I'm not an RN. None of that matters because I don't have RN behind my name. So I'm like, I'm not going to pigeonhole myself. I'm not going to be forced to limit my opportunities. That's why I'm going into tech to see, because the one thing about it, like the gatekeepers in nursing and CDI, Excel screws them up. So I ain't got to worry about them trying to compete with me on SQL. They can't.
I mean, it saddens me. Again, I mentioned the new person coming in, but what about your seasoned coder that's strong, that's been doing this, that knows this inside and out for 10, 15, 20 years? And maybe, you know, you want to advance. Maybe there's opportunities even in your organization that, oh wow, this looks like something that I could potentially do, whatever. They gonna get overlooked because the person wants a clinical person. They want an RN for the position. Even though they have proven themselves time and time and time again, they will be overlooked. And that's not right. That's just not right, and that's just not fair. So for anybody who is listening, who is in a position, a decision-making hiring position, don't overlook those folks. Not at all. They bring a wealth of information and knowledge that we all need at the end of the day. At the end of the day. Is there any good news today? Goodness.
But you know, the thing about life period is you just have to be resilient.
You do.
You have to.
But it's just so, I mean, you just got to fight. I mean, you know, we as Black and brown folks, we know all about fighting, code shifting, fighting, all of the things. We got that down to a science. So I understand that. I get it. It's unfortunate that we got to do it, but we got a playbook on that. We good on that. And so we keep going and keep pushing. And that's why you see us at the table. That's why you see us in those rooms. That's why you see us, because we ain't gonna let it go. We're not letting it go. We're gonna continue to do what we need to do and get where we need to get. And hopefully bring other folks along. Like I got in here. Let me hold the door open at least long enough for some other folks to get in. Come on, y'all. Come on. Quickly. Come on in. But it shouldn't be that way. It shouldn't be that way. But it is. But we know how to navigate and maneuver. Trust and believe. We know how to navigate and maneuver. But it shouldn't be. But it is what it is. So I guess on a lighter note, we're gonna keep talking about it, and we got y'all.
That's right.
We're gonna keep talking about it, and trust and believe, folks hear us. They hear us. Now, prayerfully, they will take the information that they're getting and the knowledge that they're getting and put it into action and do something about it and understand, because maybe they don't know. Maybe they don't understand and know what CDI all entails, and that it is bigger than just clinical. Because, yeah, and do something about it. Use their decision-making powers for good and not evil.
There's always a way around. It might take you a little longer. Like I told you, it took me I had my CDI 2 years before I got an inpatient CDI job.
And that is crazy to me. That is crazy. But yeah, and so you're getting that. Other folks are getting it. I mean, and at least you, like I said, you are a nurse. You have the nursing credential license. Other folks don't even have that. And so they stuff getting shredded or it ain't even passing through the AI resume reader. It's not nothing at all, period. They don't have a fighting chance. And now we got other folks that's in the mix. Who may be going to other states now that they've opened up. And maybe he didn't know about the other states that's opened up. Sir, maybe you can still realize your dream of being a medical doctor and get out of CDI. No, I'm kidding.
I mean, because now it just adds another layer of competition. Now you got to fight RN.
Exactly. That's my point. Exactly. And then what? What's next? We are AI's coming too, so you got to fight them that too. I mean, the fight is real. Y'all know we Lord, this is a public health emergency. No, I'm kidding. We now got all kinds of stress that will be added to our every waking moment in the workplace because of all of this. Bless our hearts. Stay prayed up, y'all. Stay prayed up. All right. I can calm down now. Get off my soapbox.
Woosah.
Woosah. I feel like I need to do some yoga right now. Do me a couple downward dogs and do some breathing. Whew. Breath of fire. I can do it all. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, this has been our Saturday morning tea. Ooh, Lord. I still feel the woosah in my spirit, but okay. um, yes. So thank you all for joining. Again, I feel like I want to leave on a lighter note. I don't know what is the ribbon in the sky? What's the silver lining? You know me, the optimistic person in me is is still looking for that. But we'll find it. We'll find it. Keep fighting, y'all. Keep fighting.
That's it.
Keep fighting. That's it. Keep fighting. Don't let the gatekeepers win.
So the thing is, the thing about the gatekeepers is they're getting old.
True. They're getting old. Oh, well, okay, I appreciate that. That made me feel good. Crafty Coder said, just knowing this scenario exists motivates me. That made me feel good because then there are other people who are coming in and they're seeing the foolishness that is out here and they're willing to keep going. They're willing to fight. They're willing to move these little gatekeepers out the way. Make a new gate. Take all the screws off and let the gate fall down. Anything. Be like, well, what happened to the screws? I don't know, but blow on it because the gate is coming down because we done took all the screws out of it. Well, that made me feel good. But thank you, Crafty Coder, our online correspondent. Look, I done gave her a whole title. All right. So what's the tea spill today? Yes.
Absolutely.
I think so. Because it gives you again some knowledge in order to prepare for the fight.
She's been getting old.
I cannot with her. and scared of Excel. Yeah, so Vicky also says, at least you're speaking the truth. Bitter tea today. Yes, it was bitter. Yes, but it was still tea. But it's like, the moment I get to the gate, I'm opening it up wide. Amen. And letting all I feel like Harriet Tubman. That's what it is. The Underground Railroad. Oh my goodness. Okay. Let me get through this exit. If this information was valuable for you, help us share this message with others by sharing the video and subscribing to the channel, Professional Reimbursement Network. Y'all, I'm almost at 5,000. I need about 60 more folks. Share. Now, my goal is 10,000. I'm at least trying to get to 5,000 at halfway through the year. And then we have to fight for the other half by the end of the year. So 10,000 is the goal. And don't forget, as you leave, to hit the thumbs up or like button. You can also check out the Coding Nurse channel on YouTube and subscribe to him as well. And last but not least, for my Clubhouse folks, just make sure you come on into our house. You will get notified of our Saturday morning tea that we have, and we're here every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern Daylight Savings Time. Am I saying it right this time? Well, this has been great today. Informative. To Miss Vicky's point, bitter tea, but tea none the same or nonetheless. It was good information to know, and gets me going and motivated to fight another day for the profession that I love. And I hope you all feel the same. So again, thank you for joining us. And remember, Mr. Jesse, did you have any closing remarks before I shut down?
Just, we have our meeting after the meeting.
Definitely. Oh, she said she's happy to be part of that 5K. Yes. I'm happy you were part of that 5K as well.
Definitely.
Oh, and Crafty Coder, I was out on your space. I saw some things out there on your space, ma'am. Yeah. You keep going. I love it. All right. Well, thank you all for joining. And remember, be safe, be kind, and don't wish for it, work for it. Until next time, take care, make it a great weekend, and we will talk with you soon.
Bye-bye.